this was like, I think one of the last big arguments we ever had. He was like, do you see like how you're representing our last name, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, then I'll take it off.
What is up, everyone? I'm your host, Alannized, and this is Noche de Pendejadas, your favorite podcast turned talk show en donde yo te traigo a tus influencers favoritos para platicar y posiblemente sacarle sus trapitos al sol. Hoy les tengo un episodio que yo sé que allá en casita ustedes están súper emocionadas de escuchar y ver. So without any further ado, please help me welcome my guest tonight, Cristian Andreas. Échenle porras, amigas, levántense. Quiero escuchar los aplausos. ¿Cómo estás? Hello, how are you?
I'm filling out the crowd.
He's like, I can still hear him cheering me on.
There's nobody here, by the way.
You're like, it's just Irma, and she's not even clapping. How are you?
I'm super excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you here today. This has been a while in the making. We were literally trying to chase each other down, you guys, for like 2 months already?
Like a good amount of time,
Good amount of time, you guys, and I'm so excited that today is finally happening because I feel like a lot of people know you, but they don't really like know you. You know, you do a lot of skits, you do a lot of videos that are very like comedy based. So I'm so excited to be able to sit down with you today and get to know a little bit more about Cristian, a little bit more about your upbringing, who you are, and what you do. But before we get started, you are in LA for a month. Cuéntanos un poquito por qué estás aquí, qué has estado haciendo. Tell us a little bit more about your trip out here.
So I came here for the month just because I feel like everybody's here.
Yes.
I feel like literally everybody's in LA, and a lot of the skits I do too they involve people, and it's like, oh, who's gonna be the next cameo or something like that. But I also feel like the energy here is just very productive.
Yeah.
Like everybody's making sure they're like posting consistently. In Orlando, that's where I'm from. Not a lot of people do that. So I feel like everyone's just here and everyone's just, getting stuff done. But also, we've been trying to link and trying to get this podcast, but it's also like getting everything I can get done, but also I had to come and be on the show. What are we talking about?
Y eso es lo que me gusta, amigas, que hizo tiempo para nosotros, para que podamos escuchar un poquito más de su historia. Before we get started with the chisme, cuéntanos un poquito más de quién eres and what you do for those at home that might not know you.
How dare you? No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, ¿cómo que chingados que no me conocen?
What do you mean you don't know? No, I'm just playing. My name's Cristian Andreas. I'm on TikTok, a little bit on YouTube. I do skits, so a lot of times I try and take like pop culture stuff and put my own spin on it. Or like I make videos where I'm also just doing rants in my car. I'm just being myself. But yeah, I try and just add a comedic touch to like stuff that everybody kind of already knows.
How do you feel sitting today here knowing that you're going to literally spill a lot of chisme y muchas cosas que a lo mejor muchos de tus seguidores no a lo mejor saben?
Is the exit right there?
I'm like, should I leave now? I'm like, you still have time actually.
No, I'm a little nervous, but I feel like I'm going to get more used to it. I'm just a little nervous right now.
Le estaba diciendo, amigas, que yo también. I feel like I still get nervous. I feel like a lot of people come in here thinking that I'm just like ready to go, ready to film. But I always say, especially when it's kind of like my first time like talking really in depth with someone that I maybe haven't met or I haven't hung out with, I feel like me ganan los nervios, amigas. So él anda nervioso y yo también, pero de que van a tener un buen episodio, se los juro que sí. So ya vamos a empezar con el chisme del día de hoy. I like to start off with your childhood because I feel like it's super important para que la gente te pueda entender de dónde vienes and what has made you who you are today. So cuéntanos un poquito cómo eras tú en tu infancia. What was it like growing up in Orlando? Cuéntanos todo eso.
When I first was born, no, I'm just kidding. I awoke from the womb. No, I'm just kidding. When I was little, a lot of times I was just always all over the place. And my mom keeps telling me the story. Every time she meets someone, they're like, oh my gosh, she's all over the place. She always is like, apparently when I was like in the womb, they can do this thing where like, oh, test something in there. And the doctor was like, either you're having twins or you're having a super energetic kid. I was not a twin.
You were just like
I was just
all over the
super
place?
all over the place. I've never been tested, but I'm pretty sure I have like severe ADHD. Why did you... She nodded when I said I had ADHD.
She's like, same.
Yep, I can tell. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have super ADHD. When I was little, you could super tell because everywhere I went, whether it was church or all over the place, I was just running everywhere, always trying to be the center of attention. That annoying kid. When I was in middle school, it was just like 10 times worse because I always just had to like be all over the place, trying to get everyone's attention, trying to be the funny one. Just the worst possible child you could ever imagine.
Would you consider yourself kind of like a silver tooth kid when you were growing up?
What's the silver tooth? Oh,
You're
like that kid that always got a problem?
like that kid that's always like doing the most.
No, I didn't bite people. Those kids bit people. Those kids bit people. The silver tooth people, like, they just bit people. I didn't get into trouble like that, but I definitely was just annoying. I'm still a little bit annoying, but I feel like I was just all over the place.
Cuéntanos un poquito más. What was it like growing up in Orlando? You tell us a little bit now that you've been coming to LA. Obviously, you know, the vibes are so different. What was it like growing up there?
So I started in this smaller town called like Palm Coast. It's near Orlando, but it was just a lot of like there was no Latinos over there. It was a lot of white people. So I was just like, there was very few like kids that were minorities. And then when we moved, it was okay, we're moving to Orlando. It's like a bigger town a little bit. And then it was like a lot more Latinos because I mentioned it earlier, like in LA, it's a lot of Mexicans, Salvadorians, but in Orlando, it's Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Venezuelans, and Brazilians. That's it. There's nobody else. So when I came over here, it was kind of a culture shock. It's like, wait a minute. The first time I landed in LA, I consider myself like pretty decent in Spanish. Yeah. I had no idea what we were saying. The first time I heard güey, I had no idea what that was.
Wait, really?
I had no idea what güey meant.
Like, what's güey?
I had no idea. That's another one. I didn't know what that was. No idea. And then everyone started doing, I'm like, am I missing something here? What's another one?
I feel like there's a lot of like little sayings.
What's that huevo?
A huevo, like fuck yeah.
Yeah, see.
That's like, wait, you didn't know a huevo either?
Absolutely not.
What are like some slangs or like things that you grew up with that maybe when you come out here to LA, people are like looking at you like weird? ¿Qué está diciendo este muchacho?
A lot of them are bad words, but like so I know a lot of like Puerto Rican slang and then a lot of Dominican slang because when I learned Spanish, it was in the DR. So like coño is a big one. Coñazo is a good one. It's just like another way of saying coño. Or vaina, you know what vaina is? Like vaina could mean anything. So if you're like, oh, this thing, esa vaina. It's a very used in like DR and then Venezuela también.
A lot of people think you're Dominican, right?
Yeah. So it's so funny because when I first started doing these TikTok skits, I literally was it started because I was messing around with this accent and it started as like a weird like, I thought it was an Armenian character at first, but then I realized I'm like, this is just like the way my uncle talks. So I'm like, okay, let me just make skits with it. My friend was filming me and he was like, oh, like just keep doing it, like do it like that.
It's funny.
Yeah, do it, it's funny.
Yeah.
He's like, if you posted that on TikTok, it would go viral. I'm like, no, it wouldn't. I posted it, did pretty well, and then people are like, well, what is this character or whatever? And then I'm like, okay, my uncle's name is actually Feffo, and he's the most Dominican man I know. So from there, I'm like, okay, well, just like add a little embellishment to it, and that'll be my uncle's character. So Feffo is literally my uncle's name, and I just ran with it. So that's just like my Dominican character. But in reality, like my mom is Puerto Rican, and then my dad, by blood, is Salvadorian, right?
Okay.
So he was born in El Salvador, but he didn't know his real father. So he never really knew his biological father. And his stepdad was born in the DR and married into the Salvadorian family. But my dad always just considered him like his father. That was just his dad to him. His dad passed away, like his stepfather, but his dad passed away relatively young, like 35, 40, really, really young. But all of my family is Dominican on his side. And growing up, people would be like, oh, like, what are you? I'm like, I think I know I'm Puerto Rican.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I'm like, I know I'm Puerto Rican, Salvadorian. And I'm like, am I I don't know. And then when I started doing this character, I was just doing because I'm just like, you know, I'm impersonating my family. I'm impersonating my uncle. And then it blew up, and then people were like, wait, what are you? Are you Dominican? Are you not Dominican? And then I kind of realized, I'm like, I guess I'm technically not Dominican by blood.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, all of my family is Dominican. So it's kind of a weird thing where I'm Puerto Rican and Salvadorian, but I learned Spanish in the DR. I spent every summer in the DR. So it's just definitely a culture that, like, I grew up with. My family's Dominican. It's weird because I'm Puerto Rican, Salvadorian, but culturally, like,
you're more Dominican.
Yeah.
Do you go to like El Salvador a lot or no?
I've never been. I've never been to El Salvador.
Why?
When I was growing up, my parents, well, I don't know if you know, Bukele he's been in office recently, and he's cleaned up El Salvador like crazy.
Yeah.
Like from what I've, I don't want to get involved in politics over there, but he's like cleaned up crime over there because crime was really bad. And it was like a place where you shouldn't visit unless you know somebody over there. And my dad was always like, we're not going yet. And when he went alone because he didn't want to risk anything with us. But I haven't been, but I really want to go because it's a known thing over there that the Pizza Huts are like 5-star restaurants, like cheesecake factories.
I've seen. Is that where that's at? Because I've seen these fancy ass Pizza Huts, and I'm like, girl, where the fuck are those here? Yeah,
I need to go over there now.
Nos cuentas that you've been to the DR. Cuéntanos un poquito más. Do you remember like the first time you went? Were you scared, excited?
I was definitely young. I didn't really know what was going on because I was like 13, I think, when I first went to the Dominican Republic. And it was just like me every summer going. But I went because my dad was a missionary. So I would go and we would build houses in this community. It's from a little town in DR called Aswa. And we would just build houses there. And it was super fun. At the time, I was just like, I didn't really know what was going on. But I remember my dad all the time. Every time we went to the DR, he'd be like, oh, your grandfather took me here. Your grandfather took me. And he would be like, I just want to share this moment with you. And it was so weird for me because I'm like, I'm not. And he would tell me, he's like, you're not Dominican by blood. But I would be like, but if you were here, how am I not? So I was just super confused. And then every time I would come back from going to the DR, my mom would always be like, because I would come back and I'll be talking a little bit with a Dominican accent because I didn't really know Spanish until then. My parents really didn't speak Spanish around the house like that. And when I came back and I was speaking Spanish, she was like, why do you have a Dominican accent?
You're like, ¿Qué te pasó?
Because there's a little bit, you know how like Mexicans and Salvadorians, like there's a little bit of a rivalry? Yeah. It's the same thing with Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
They have a rivalry?
Puerto Rico and DR?
Why?
Because it's just like, it's not a rivalry, but it's like, we both play baseball.
Okay.
We both play baseball. It's like a little bit of a rivalry, but it's more of a friendly rivalry. But, you know, my mom's very Puerto Rican. She kind of keeps that rivalry going. And when I came back with a Dominican accent, she was like, why are you talking like that? Why are you talking like that? She wasn't mad, but she was like, tú eres boricua. Habla como un boricua. But, no, it was funny because...
Did, obviamente, el saber that your dad was Salvadorian, your mom Puerto Rican, and just having so many cultures kind of implemented into your life at such a young age, did you ever feel like lost between like, ¿qué soy? Or was that something that really wouldn't cross your mind?
I don't know, honestly, because there's been... I get called out on the internet sometimes for this because I posted a video not too long ago basically being like, hey guys, so y'all know I am Puerto Rican. I'm half Puerto Rican. And people were like, oh, now that Bad Bunny's album came out, now you want to be Puerto Rican. But I mean, I can't control that. Like, I am Puerto Rican. I'm half Puerto Rican. I'm half Salvadorian. And then like, people get confused because why are you acting like a Dominican then? But no, for me, I've always kind of like, I know what I am. I did kind of struggle with it a little bit just because, like I mentioned before, my parents didn't grow up speaking Spanish. Or no, my parents did. I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. My sister grew up speaking Spanish, right? And then at a young age, I don't know when it was, my cousins didn't speak Spanish and she only spoke Spanish. So they started to bully her a little bit. They were like, oh, why do you talk like that? Why do you talk so weird? My brother had a speech impediment a little bit when he was growing up. They took him to the doctor like, hey, his speech is a little bit, off. Like, what can we do? And they're like, stick to one language in the house. And my parents were like, okay, well, we want him to, not get bullied in school. So, okay, I guess we'll speak English around the house. So they spoke English around the house. And then with me, they were like, okay, we'll just stick with English. Yeah. I'm the one that wanted to learn Spanish the most. So I'm like, you guys kind of screwed me over here a little bit. Not actually, but it was just more like, man, I wish I kind of spoke Spanish growing up because now that my girlfriend's Colombian, right?
Okay.
All of her family only speaks Spanish. Only speaks Spanish. So now I'm kind of playing catch up because now I have to be semi-fluent in Spanish.
Pero si lo entiendes, right? Like that's what I was telling you. I was like, do you understand me?
No.
Okay.
I get nervous though because I understand like pretty much everything in Spanish. But the problem is when I respond, I get nervous because sometimes I mess up the conjugation, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to mess it up and be like, and because Latinos love Latinos so much. We can be judgy people.
Yes.
Super judgy. Like, oh, your accent's different.
Like, I feel like as Latinos, we always are like coming at each other.
Yeah. Oh, who's more Latino?
Yeah.
That's always the thing. Especially with like, I don't know if you've heard of this, like first generation versus second generation. There's a huge like
the no sabos.
Yeah, I'm more Latino than you because I was born in Puerto Rico or Cuba or whatever. And it's just like a huge, for me, it's just like, I get nervous with speaking Spanish just because I can speak Spanish when I have to, but I don't want to get judged,
I still feel that way. I like to consider myself not a no sabo because I feel like I can speak in Spanish very fluently. But whenever I talk to someone that only speaks Spanish and their Spanish is so advanced and like they know all the slurs and everything, como que I freeze and I'm like, ¿qué chingados me están diciendo? No sé cómo responderles. Or kind of like when I'm talking to someone in English, like if it's someone super professional or even someone that's like white, I almost feel like my English isn't up to par and I'm just like, oh my God, I just fucking panic.
That's me talking with Fabio. Oh my gosh. Fabio's Spanish is so fast. Where's Fabio from? Honduras?
I think Fabio, yes, Honduras. He's Honduras, yeah.
He's on, what's it called? I think, you know Karen and Eddie? You had them on podcast.
Yes.
Eddie was like, I know Spanish pretty well. When Fabio speaks Spanish, he goes fast. And I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Puerto Ricans and Dominicans speak Spanish super fast. Fabio's on another level when it comes to speaking how fast he speaks Spanish.
But I feel like he speaks it so well.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
I mean, he was born there,
yeah,
right?
he was born there. Quiero platicar de tu relación con tus papás. You know, how was your relationship growing up with your parents? Do you feel like growing up, you were more of like a daddy's boy, or were you more closer to your mom?
I was super close with my mom just because all of my humor is definitely, okay, no, not to hate on my dad. My mom is she's so weird. I make a lot of videos with my mom sometimes, and every single time I post a video, people are like, okay, that makes sense. Like, that makes sense where his humor came from, just because she's so random sometimes. And she's so all over the place. When I was little, like, my mom and dad would always make a point, okay, we're gonna eat dinner at the table. And my dad's like a very more serious person. I would like just make it my point to make my mom laugh all the time, because it would like itch something in my brain when I was little. I don't know what it was. And I would always see my mom laughing, and my dad would get annoyed because he would be like, oh, anytime Christian says something funny, you can laugh at it. And she was like, well, he's just funny sometimes. I would make jokes and I would look over at my dad and he's like this. I used to make fun of him because he used to do this thing where, since he would laugh so rarely at my jokes, anytime he did laugh at my jokes, he goes, listen, now that's funny right there. I'm like, Dad, you don't have to call it out that it's funny. You could just laugh.
Do you feel like because he would rarely laugh at your jokes, you would kind of almost like make it a mission to make him laugh, or you would almost like want to crack a joke all the time para verlo reír?
It was more like for me with him, we were, especially when I was like 13 to like, you know, it was a long period, 13 to 18. We weren't like super close. We were like not on the best terms sometimes. So I would kind of just like take a step back and like, you know, speak only when spoken to and not try to joke too much with him, just because he could get annoyed sometimes if I'm like, I was very much like center of attention, trying to be center of attention all the time. So I get from his perspective where I was just like
too much.
Calm down sometimes. Like, it's never, you don't always have to be talking or joking. So I would just like try not joke with him just because I didn't want to upset him or anything. My relationship with my dad is so good now. Like, my relationship, it's something that I think for a lot of people, it's when you become an adult, like, even if you've had issues in the past with your either of your parents, if your parent is mature, once you start maturing, the relationship becomes more like a friendship. Once you start getting a little bit older, I feel like you realize, like, your parents kind of see you as an adult at a certain point, and that's when you realize, okay, no matter what, your relationship, if they really want to put it there, turns into a friendship. For me, my dad and I, like, and I think, you know, I would never, like, drag any one of my family members on a podcast, but it's just, like, to put it simple, like, from 13 to 18, it just kind of felt like we weren't on good terms. I feel like, and he would never say, but like, I just felt like he didn't like me sometimes. Which, you know, it was, there's a lot more to it, but it's just like, we weren't on the best terms. And I think, I can't tell exactly when it was, but I feel like recently, especially like once I hit my 20s, like my dad, we had a long conversation one time where he was like, hey, I know sometimes like I wasn't there when you needed me to be there. And sometimes, like, I could have handled things a lot differently. But straight up, like, you know, he just apologized. He was like, I'm sorry. He was like, I'm sorry if I couldn't be there. And as soon as he said that, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, in my head, I'm like, once I move out, I'm out, right? Once I'm gone, I'm gone. And then I realized year by year, it was just me being bitter over something for no reason. Yeah. Because, you know, no matter what, like, you can be mad at someone, even if it's deserved or it's not deserved. But at a certain point, like, even if it's your family member, like, if they're making an active attempt to save your relationship, you're messed up if you don't reciprocate that.
I think it is very important, you know, to recalcar that a lot of that, like, learning and accepting comes with age, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have, you know, the best relationship with my dad either growing up. And I feel like even now, I don't have like a relationship, but I feel like I can see him now, you know, whenever we have family parties, he's there, hello, hi. But I feel like as you get older, you start realizing that, like, oh shit, you know what? Maybe I would take things even more personal. But I didn't know if my dad was going through shit mentally and like having us like nagging, or not that like it justifies it, but like we don't know what was going on in that moment. And I feel like it's great that you, as you started getting older, you were able to be like, you know what, even though that hurt me a lot, I'm able to put that past me, and I'm able to create a relationship with my dad now, because that's what matters. You know, the present was matter, because if we dwell on the past, like, that's where we're gonna stay.
Yeah, it definitely took time. It took a lot of time for me, just because, like, even when I first started TikTok, like I said, he was a missionary and he's very conservative. And I understand that completely, because, you know, I consider myself like very religious too. But you know, if any of you guys have seen my skits, I curse.
Yeah.
You know, recently now I'm like trying not to curse as much, but it was just a huge argument every time he would see my videos because he was like, he didn't even have TikTok.
Yeah.
And it was getting to a point where when my videos started getting attention, he would be like, why are you? And it was just such a thing for him. And it still is, just because in El Salvador, he was very poor, very poor. And when he got adopted by my stepdad, or by his stepdad, he gave him his last name. And for him, it was a thing of like, this is a family last name.
Yeah.
It's a family last name.
Pride.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, you're going to represent the last name no matter what you do. So when I first started my TikTok, he was like, because I had my actual last name on there. Andres is not my last name. I had my actual last name on there. And he was like, you understand that you're representing our last name like this, blah, blah, blah. And I would just get so mad because I'm like, it's my last name too. Like, I feel like I'm doing, you know, I'm just being myself. Yeah. Now looking back, I understand where he was coming from because it's like like when you're accepted like that and someone gifts you their last name and gives you, you know, accepts you as part of their family, you want to put your best foot forward. This was like, I think one of the last big arguments we ever had where it was like, I think I was like 21.
Yeah.
And this was like, we were still not on the best terms. He was like, do you see like how you're representing our last name, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, then I'll take it off. Like at this point, I don't care. I'll take it off.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
Like it's not that serious.
Yeah, no,
you, yeah.
For me, it was just more like, are you that ashamed of like what I'm posting? Like I'm not doing crazy stuff. I'm not, you know, I'm not having sex or on the internet or anything like that.
Or I'm
like,
not a criminal.
Yeah,
I'm not doing
anything
that I
bad.
should be ashamed of.
Yeah, not to pull the whole, it could be a lot worse. But for me, it was just more like, I don't think what I'm doing is that bad. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I don't want the last name represented on my account anymore. And he was like, okay, cool. Fine. A couple years went past, and then I was like, okay, I kind of get it. Because for him, it was just a thing of like, it's something new to him. Yeah. And, you know, my whole family's super religious. I consider myself super religious too. I just got to fight him out sometimes. And looking back, it was more of a thing of like, he has such a respect for what his stepdad did for him. And I think he just saw it as like, okay, well, you're disrespecting it. I obviously would never do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a whole thing. So Cristian Andres is actually my last name. It's my middle name.
Okay.
Andres is my middle name. So I just did a little switcheroo. But like when I switched it, a lot of people were like, so what's your actual last name?
I thought Andres was your last name. Yeah.
I mean, I go by it now just because, you know.
It's like your stage name.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, it's like, I have a lot of respect for my dad. Yeah. And I just don't want it to be something like, if I ever do something that he wouldn't like, I want to make sure it's not on him.
Nos cuentas de que cuando estaba pasando eso, you kind of felt like, what, are you ashamed of me? You know, during that time, was that a very like emotional time for you because you felt like, oh, okay, like this whole time growing up, I always felt like you didn't like me. And now you're almost making me feel like I should be ashamed to like carry this last name because of what I'm doing. Did that even hurt you more?
I wouldn't say so much on the TikTok side of things, just because for me, it was like, it was every time he saw a video, it was just more like, I don't want this to be your TikTok account, you know? This is something that I feel like I can be myself on, because when I was little, like, he is just so, especially when I was growing up, he was just like the opposite of me. He was very serious and very like, let's do this, this, and this. I didn't want it to be a thing like, okay, well, I don't want you to feel like you have a sense of ownership on it. But that was also just me being immature, because looking back, like, and it annoys me because I knew my mom was right, and it pisses me off. Every time she's like, you know, you're actually really similar to your dad. And it would make me so mad every time she would say that, because I had so much resentment towards my dad at the time. But looking back, like, I learned a lot of stuff from him, and it makes me mad because, like, oh, I knew you were right about some stuff. He's very much an organizer. He's very much a planner. He's really good at coordinating. And looking back now,
like,
I use all of those things. Yeah, I use all of those things. And a lot of times when I like collab with people, they're like, wait, why do you, because if you think about TikTok, it's a very casual thing, right? But for me, I kind of take it a little bit more seriously, because I grew up doing, like, in high school, I did a lot of like more cinematic stuff. I did a lot of I was in video production, so I was like trying to be more cinematic with the TikTok stuff. And when I'm working with other people, I'm like, okay, let's get you here on this time, and let's have you come in like this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, there's the coordinating side of things.
I love that, though, because I feel like when you do that, you're more prepared, not just for the content, but for life. I'm the type of person that if I'm going to hang out with someone, or if I have a trip, or if I'm even just like working, filming, I like to have like okay, we're going to do this, a game plan, because I've gone into a lot of situations where people are like, let's just wing it. Bitch, I ain't gonna wing
that makes me
anything.
it gives gives me a headache, bro. It gives me a headache because for me, it's like, oh, and there's been times where like I like a collab trip. Like, I go over there somewhere for a week and I spend some time with other influencers and they're like, you're taking this too seriously. Like, you need to calm down. I'm like, y'all are not taking this seriously enough. Yeah. Like, this is something that's exciting that we get to do, but it's also like, let's put some work into it. Let's plan around it. But I also get like, everyone's journey is different. Yeah. For me, it was always like, okay, I feel like considering we're so blessed to have this as something we actually do for money, why wouldn't you guys put the work in it to be like, okay, what does the audience want to see? How can I make this happen?
How can I make this visually nicer?
Yeah. And that's why, like, there was this one big collab that I did, and it was like, for me, when I started doing collabs, I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is fun because I thought of it as like, in old sitcoms, like, oh, you can have a cameo and like no one expects that person to come in. And at the time, this was back in 2023, I think, the Latino side of TikTok was so toxic. And it was just, you said, like, yeah, I know about that. No, what's it called? It was just so toxic. And I'm like, okay, there's so much drama surrounding on like how people view us. How can we make this into something cool? Yeah. And to show people like, okay, we can do cool stuff that's not, we're not butting heads all the time. We're not all chismosas and stuff. So I had this idea because I did the Dominican Spider-Man thing, right? And I'm like, okay, I haven't done the Avengers. Who can I get to be the Avengers? I'm like, let's get like the Latino Avengers. Let's bring like the biggest like social media people on the Latin side of TikTok. And let's bring them in. So I originally hit up Emily from Emily Hernandez. From the Wiggies. And I'm like, okay, who do you know that would be down to do this? And she goes, okay, Blessed, Mattia, Ale. I didn't know Karen and Eddie at the time, so I hadn't hit them up. But it was just like every single person you can think of, I reached out to, and I was like, okay, who's down? And then a lot of people obviously couldn't make it, but I'm like, okay, this is gonna be super cool. That's why I was like, okay, I have to make this super cinematic. I have to make this super cool. At the time, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this a whole production. And looking back, it's like I might have done a little bit too much because I made it like a 3-part series and everything. But like, looking back, it was still fun for me.
But I love that though, because I feel like with social media, sometimes you do gotta do too much. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we're entertaining people. At the end of the day, you want people to see a video. I love your videos because like I'll watch one and like I'm like, oh my God, like just his transitions, like the way you record, I'm like, I'll be watching a video like 3-4 times just to try to like see it good. It's so nicely put together. And I feel like, I know maybe you might feel like, oh, I'm doing too much or like I'm doing the most, but like I feel like that's why te ha ido muy bien. Te quiero regresar un poquito más a tu childhood. Nos cuentas de que tu papá wasn't really, very emotionally present there for you. Do you feel like your mom, because she would see kind of like, oh, okay, like maybe he doesn't have like the best relationship with his dad. Do you feel like you and your mom kind of got closer because she would try to make up for it?
I think a lot of it was, it's not even that my dad wasn't like emotionally present. It was just more like because he was a missionary, he would be gone for like a lot of time. He'd be gone for like months at a time. And then before he was a missionary, he was in the military. So he would be gone for a long periods of time. And then when he came back, he was just so serious. So for me, it was like, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. Like, when you barely spend time with the parents, so it's like, okay, the time that they have to be here, it's more like, okay, they might have to do more disciplinary stuff. So for me, that was like, I didn't spend that much time with him because, he was bringing money home. He was doing all this. But my mom and I were just like you're saying, all the time. Yeah. Like I spent so much time with my mom. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I probably have the best mom in the world. Like she was always like, she would make a point to be like super, make everything try and be fun. And when she would pick me up from school, she would be like, always like, okay, what'd you get on your test? Did you get a good grade? Okay, let's go get milkshakes, And she was always there. And like, I get mad at my mom sometimes though, because she would do stuff where I was like, oh, oh my gosh. I was such a theater kid, dude. It was so annoying looking back because I get made fun of all the time because I used to be a theater kid.
I love that though.
Oh my gosh. No, don't do that. Don't gaslight me.
I'm a theater kid.
You're a theater kid?
Every single time. I mean, I didn't make it far past being the makeup artist to the kids because I'm not a good actor.
I could tell. Look at this look he's got going on.
No,
right now.
I love it though. Yeah. I love theater. Like every single time we go to New York, we love to watch at least 1 or 2 Broadway shows. It's so cool seeing everything come together.
Bro, don't get me started on theater because I could talk about it for an hour. But like that, for me, that was another thing. It was like for me not knowing back then, it's because I blame my sister. My sister used to play like a bunch of like theater stuff, and I thought it was so cool. My brother wasn't really that into it, but I was like, oh, this is sick as hell. I was like, this is sick as fuck. I said that, and my mom was like, oh, cool. Because that was the first thing I expressed interest into before sports. So she's like, okay, let's sign you up for theater camp. At the time, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Looking back, I'm like, Mom, why did you put me in theater camp? Now I'm like, okay, cool. If I was a parent, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Just like my kid, likes something, I want to put them in that. But as for me, I'm like, I was the only boy in theater camp. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I had so much fun though. I didn't really get bullied for it at the time. I got a little bit bullied in high school.
Okay.
Just like the beginning of high school, just because I was like, people were like, oh, you're a theater kid. Like, what are you talking about? But for me, I didn't really notice.
You're having too much fun being in theater then.
I wasn't in theater until like, I think I stopped doing theater like sophomore year.
Okay.
Because that's when I switched over to digital video production. It's like a short film class basically.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, okay, let me move this stuff over to here. But, this is the first podcast I don't tell people that I used to be a theater kid, because I did a podcast not too long ago and they figured out I was a theater kid and they're like, oh, that makes so much sense. I'm like, oh, what's that supposed to mean?
When I got into theater, I think I joined it as an elective freshman year. I loved it. I would audition for all the plays and never got a part other than like the makeup artist. But I loved it. I loved being behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And for a moment, I wanted to go to school for production. So in middle school, I did, what is that class called where you would make like the end of the school like video? I did yearbook, and then I also did like what was it called? It had a certain fucking media. It was called media. So we kind of produced the end of the year video that would kind of, be shown at graduation. So I loved like the little producing stuff. So
you're like, I'm going to make them cry with this. I know that's how you edit your TikTok. So you're like, oh, let me put on this Billie Eilish song. They're finna cry with this
like,
one.
What was I made for? Literally. Tell us, how was your experience in theater during that time?
With my mom, she literally not only put me in theater camp, at one point she was like, she brought me to a Disney Channel audition. And it was like one of those, oh my gosh. It was, because I heard it on the radio and they were like, do you want to be a Disney Channel star? I said, hell yeah. So bless my mom's heart, she actually took me to this audition. And I was like, okay, even as a kid, I was like, maybe this is fake. And then Zeke from Wizards of Waverly Place walked in and he was like, oh, guys, I was at one of these, blah, blah, blah. Like, you truly have a chance, blah, blah, blah. Looking back, I think it was a Ponzi scheme. And I think he got paid a good amount of money. But I did an audition and they said, hey, we're going to call very few people. If we call you, that means we're interested in working with you. There is a price in working with us. Let us know. I got a call 20 minutes later. And I was like, I was one of the good ones.
They're all calling everybody.
Yeah, they were calling everybody. From that, she was like, well, if you're going to be an actor, let's get you in tap dance lessons. And even back then, I knew, I was like, Mom, I'm not doing tap dance. I'm not going to be the one dude in tap dance. Looking back, how badass would it have been if I knew how to tap dance?
So you didn't do it?
I didn't do tap dance, but I really, looking back, I'm like, damn, you know how cool it would have been if I'm on a first date and be like,
you're like, just tap dancing.
Yeah, just pull out my tap shoes out of nowhere. That would have been super cool. But no, I didn't do it. But my mom was always super supportive with stuff like that. Like, she was always like, if you want to do this, let's do it. Let's throw you in. And even now, like, there's been times where I've brought up, I'm like, hey, Mom, like, I'm considering going to LA. I'm considering moving there. And she goes, well, you're young. If you want to do it, just go for it. Just go for it. But she's always just been super supportive with the creative stuff.
Did you ever land a role in high school, like in your high school productions?
No, in middle school I did. In middle school, I got, they would cast me and stuff, but remind you, this was a theater summer camp, right?
Okay.
Oh, I never told this story. I hate talking about this. Oh my gosh. In theater, they would do these things where like, it wasn't really like a show. It was, it was like a
little play.
Like little song. They would just do songs from plays. And it would be like a recital kind of thing.
Okay.
And they would have like little songs from musicals and then people would sing it. And they were like, oh my gosh, he's so rambunctious. He's like, so he can, and he's got good stage presence. And they're like, yeah, let's have him do this role. And they're like, you're just gonna sing this one part. And then they heard me sing. And they're like,
maybe not.
They were like, maybe, because back then my voice hadn't dropped.
Okay.
So I was singing like, yeah.
You're like, get him off the stage immediately.
As soon as they heard my voice, she was like, well, if we put someone else up there with him, he can do like the dance moves and the other guy can sing. I remember I was so pissed. I was like, Mom, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm like, not doing this anymore. But yeah, no, I did a couple of those. I remember, oh gosh, they had me sing something from Cats. Dude.
Like in a costume and everything? Or just a song?
We're not going to talk about it.
You're like, yes, not with a whole cat suit.
We're not going to talk about if I was wearing a costume or not. But I definitely was, what am I saying? Literally all of my videos, I'm wearing a dumbass costume. But no, what's it called? I did something from Cats, and then I did, what other things did I do? You know Godspell?
No.
It was like see, that just shows how much of a
I'm like, damn, that's
theater nerd I am.
really musical theater.
Cut this out. No, I'm just playing. Did something from Godspell, and then I did something from the Matilda musical. And I was like, damn, I crushed that. And immediately after, like, I think a year after, I saw myself in the cat suit, and I was like, oh.
You're like,
I was
what
like, why did I
doing?
do that?
But I feel like it's cool though, because I like to think that, especially when as a kid, sometimes we're scared to like try things that we actually want to do because, you know, nos van a juzgar, they're going to make fun of us. And then you lose out on those opportunities and on those experiences. So I'm glad that you were able to be like, you know what, aunque se rían de mí, tengo esa experiencia.
I thank God that my mom actually put me in that stuff, because all of those things I've used now. Like even with the musical theater stuff, like I learned so much. I was the only one in my family that, like, I remember my parents had this piano. It was the oldest piano in the house, right? And they got it for my sister and brother, and they both took piano lessons. And they were both terrible at it. They both just did not like it.
Yeah.
And I was the only one that, like, they didn't give piano lessons to. Same thing with the Spanish. I was the only one that didn't really, like, they didn't speak it around that much. But with the piano thing, I didn't really get lessons like that. I remember I went to the piano one day, and I was, like, 7. And I was just playing like
I got this
I
shit.
played full-on songs. And then because I have it's gonna sound like really braggy, I have a more musical mind. And a lot of people don't know that, but I actually first started, I used to write music. Like I wrote like whole songs, I wrote a whole project one time. I love music theory. Like I can hear a song and I'm like, I know exactly how to play it on the piano. Yeah. And I don't post a lot about it just because like piano is kind of a thing I do to like get away from things, but I play piano, guitar, and violin. Now I thank God that my mom put me in those situations where like I probably got made fun of a little bit for it, but like now I can do all this stuff. Now I can do this cool stuff.
And I feel like, you know what it is too? I'd like to think that a lot of the people that are successful, my boyfriend's a huge Lady Gaga fan, right? Mm-hmm. Like he tells me the story about how like back in high school, everyone thought she was a fucking weirdo, how she's opened up about how they would make fun of her like singing in the hallway and doing the most. Mm-hmm. But it really is those kids that are not scared to be themselves and try new things that are the ones that make it. Exactly, because everyone that's so bland and doesn't want to do anything and just worries about judging people are the people that are just at home criticizing, as opposed to those kids that were trying to explore, you know, their artistic selves, that were trying to be like the artists, trying to do things out of the box. Those are the people that we look up to, the talented people as viewers now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we look at Lady Gaga or like any artist that you guys like, and you're like, wow, like they're so fucking good at what they do. Why? Because they got
made fun of the same way.
This episode of Noche de Pendejadas is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the US, I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I know I can find exactly what I'm looking for. I found Booking.com to have something for everyone. Yo amo y recomiendo Booking.com because it makes booking hotels so much easy. Ustedes saben, amigas, ya parezco disco rayado, but I am going to WrestleMania in Las Vegas next month y yo estoy muy emocionado porque pude encontrar el hotel perfecto. Yo estaba buscando un hotel bueno, bonito y barato, amigas, y encontré el perfecto. I found the right one that is super close to the venue, y también agarré uno que estaba right on the strip porque obviamente cuando se va a Las Vegas se va a disfrutar, and we wanted to be on the strip, y también uno que estuviera muy bonito por dentro. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Nos cuentas de tus hermanos. Quiero platicar un poquito de la relación con ellos. You are the baby of how many?
3.
So you guys are 3.
I'm
you are
third,
the smallest. What was that like growing up? Do you feel like because you were the smallest, nos cuentas de que a ti casi no se te daba porque pues ya habían dado a tus hermanos? What was it like just being the smallest?
I do get a little bit jealous sometimes because there's a lot of people that I've met that they're like, they always say, oh, I'm so close with my siblings, blah, blah, blah. Growing up, I always felt like I wasn't that close with them just because, like, I was so annoying as a kid. Like, I would always try and I was the youngest to an extreme extent. Like, I would try and get my brother in trouble all the time, and it pisses me off that I did that. Because looking back, like, I fucked up something that, like, could have been cool, you know? Just now, I'm kind of playing catch up and getting close with my siblings. But back then, especially since my family's so conservative as far as like very very religious, we didn't curse in the house. We were watching what we say. Like even now, I don't have the same for everybody. Like I don't curse in front of my parents at all. I do not curse in front of my parents. Like if I'm speaking Spanish to my parents and I say like a curse word in Spanish, they're like, my mom's always like, ah. Like
¿Qué es eso?
I had a whole playlist. I don't know if anyone else has been through this, where like your parents are super strict and you want to play music around them, but like I had a playlist just of clean versions of songs that I wanted to show them because, you know, I'm not gonna, every time I play, oh my gosh, one time I played Toquisha for my mom. You ever listen to Toquisha?
Yes, I love her.
Oh my gosh, her reaction was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I think she was borderline, like she was about to pass out. She was about
She's like, this is too much.
She was like,
Toquisha is like,
oh,
great.
she is way
I
too
love
much.
it though.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, hey, I'm a grown ass man. If I listen to Toquisha like while I'm driving, I'm like, oh my gosh. With my siblings, I just went on a whole ADHD thing. We're a lot closer now, obviously, but like just me being the youngest, I would definitely with my brother, I would just always try and get him in trouble, and like we're always kind of watching our back just because, you know, we all knew we were cursing and we all know we weren't like actually being ourselves, but we're like, okay, I don't want to curse in front of you, and then you tell mom, and then it wasn't until like recently, I think like literally the last year, where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm a grown ass man. I can curse in front of my brother. I can like actually be myself in front of my brother. And that's when we started getting a little bit closer, but it's still like, you know, a work in progress. I definitely wish I was a lot closer with them, but I still, you know, we still have a really good relationship. Like my siblings, I don't have a bad relationship with any of them. It's just, we're all so different. Like my sister is the most like by the book analytical person ever. And I'm more of like, she's definitely the golden child as far as like with my dad. Because, you know, like I said, my dad's super serious. And with her, she was like, honor roll, dual enrollment, like, you know.
So what your dad wanted for all his kids.
Yeah,
kinda.
like, and she was the first one, so I was like, okay, now I gotta be the one to pop that bubble and like, oh, but I want to make videos.
What do you guys get compared a lot to her growing up?
They were pretty good about that. Like, they didn't compare it to us, but they were also like, sometimes they're like, well, Liana did this. You don't want to do that? Like when I was in college for 2 years just because, you know, that was the next course. You graduate high school, you do college, and I was just not good at it. Like I got my stuff done. Don't get me wrong. I got the good grades, but I got the good grades in like the most high school way possible. Wait until 11:59 to push in that discussion post or like whatever. And I remember the only ones that I actually enjoyed were the film classes, the production classes, and all that. And my dad was telling me when I told him, I was like, hey, I think I low-key want to drop out of college, and like this TikTok thing is picking up speed. And he was like, well, you could still take classes, you know, like you should definitely do this, but like you should still take classes. And I was like, Dad, if I don't go all in on this now, I'm gonna regret it. Like I'm gonna regret it because I know I can give 110% to this. And he was like still iffy about it. And then I remember when my mom talked to him, she was like, he should definitely do this because like he can go on in this, and worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, he can just go back to college.
Before you like told him that you were gonna drop out of college, were you scared, especially knowing how like strict they were, that you were like, oh shit, this is gonna be a no for them?
I was just smart with it.
How'd you do it?
I like hinted a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, I'm starting to make money off TikTok a little bit, you know, and because you know, with Latin parents, you want to get them to, if you want to show them like, hey, I'm doing some of this, here's how much money I'm making. And at the time, it wasn't that much. Like I social media, for those of you that don't know, followers don't equal money. Like there's a lot of times where you can go 3 months, 4 months, $0 coming in. Like you're low-key sometimes better off with a 9 to 5. But for me, it was just like, okay, here I'm starting to make a little bit of money off this. Let me give it a shot. And I would sneak it in, and they would be like, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. I wouldn't. Or just take less classes. And then after wearing them down for a while, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And they were supportive.
You started doing social media. Ahorita te vemos all over the place, but it wasn't always like that. Cuéntanos cómo empezó todo eso. What made you be like, you know what? I'm gonna post a video because I don't fucking know. I'm just gonna do it. Y cuál fue tu primer momento where you're like, oh shit, I'm kind of going viral. This can kind of work out. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso.
It's a little awkward because what's it called? I was talking to someone for like 6 months, right? Did not have TikTok downloaded. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Because at the time, it was just like, renegade, and I'm like,
Like cringe.
I was like cringe, but also at the time, if you look back at pictures of me, oh my gosh, was I 10 times worse. But no, for me, it was just like, I couldn't get into it. But at the time, she was doing TikTok like crazy, and she was getting a little bit of traction. She was at like 20K. And,
Okay.
And I was like, damn, that's she's famous. We were in high school. I'm like, that's a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And she was like, you should just download the app. So I downloaded the app, and then after a while, like we broke up, and then I come to realize after she cheated on me, and she cheated on me in like a dirty way too. Like it was fucked up.
Wait, can you tell her no?
I don't know.
Si no está bien.
No. I'm thinking. Okay. She started talking to somebody else. But it was definitely the timeline was like she started talking to someone while we were talking. So and I'm like, okay, that's messy. And for me, if it was just that, I would have been like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. It's like I was a kid too. I was like 17, 18. What messed me up was that she worked in like an area that was close to mine, and I worked at Dunkin', right? The guy that she cheated on me with every single day, she would like make out with him in the drive-thru line so I would see it.
Wait, so she would do it on purpose?
Yeah. At least for me, that's what it came across like. Cause I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, girl, you know I'm hurting over here, and you're gonna do this to me? Like, what the fuck? I don't know if it was on purpose or whatever. She could have just been living her life. I really don't care. But like, for me, it was just like, damn, like that was definitely like my villain arc, if we want to be out like that.
Like that fueled you?
Yeah, no, it was, for me, it was because she had blocked me too. So I was like, you know what? You're gonna see me. I was like, you're gonna see me. So I started posting on TikTok 4 times a day just to like, just to piss. Like, I'm like, you're gonna see. And then when one video started doing well, I was like, I put like 10 times the work. I'm like, oh, you're gonna see me.
Like,
You're gonna see me.
saw this one.
Yeah,
for
you're
sure,
gonna see
yeah.
me. But then come to find out later, 2 years later, the guy that she cheated on me with, she cheated on him too. And I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, like, she tell you? She's like, I had no idea who you are. Like, I had no idea like who you were at all. Like, he was clueless. I was like, wait, so she screwed you over too? Like, you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And then he was the one that helped me film every day, and him and I became best friends.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the first viral video I had with the Feffo voice, he was recording it, and he was the one that told me to do it. So it's kind of a story of like, I thank God that like she was put it, not, like in a weird, don't flatter yourself. But like, I thank God that like that happened, because the thing that I kept telling myself when I was going through all that was like, just turn your pain into paint. Turn your pain into pain. Like, make something cool out of this. And obviously I have no ill will towards her at all. I honestly don't even blame her, because like, yeah, a lot, like every time I tell the story, people are like, oh, that's so crazy. Like the way that happened. And like, oh, screw her, blah, blah, blah. But looking back, it's like, bro, we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, we were kids. Some people, like, what is it saying? Not to be all, like, dramatic, but, like, hurt people, you know? So I'm honestly grateful that it happened, because I would not be here if, like, I wasn't that mad to where, like, I started making videos, and then I met him, and then he helped me with the videos. For people that see my videos, I had Paul in a lot of my videos, especially, like, I used to do these Linda videos.
Okay.
Where it was, like, me as a mom going into a store and, like, how moms do things. And I would have him as my daughter, and people would be like, who is that guy? And then they started knowing, oh, that's Paul. And
that's him.
That's Paul, yeah, Paul. And people still don't know how we met, but that's actually how we met. Is he was just, I hated his guts for 2 years. And then, you realize, maybe you weren't the problem, maybe, and then you start to learn each other, and then you're like, wow, he became my best friend. So it was really cool. It was
when
really
you
cool.
started like popping off, did she ever reach out? Like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm back.
It wasn't even like that. Like, she didn't reach out like that. It was more like when him and her broke up, there was like this whole drama that happened. And she reached out to me being like, hey, is there any way we could talk about it? I sent a screenshot straight to my girlfriend. I said, can you believe this girl? I was like, look at her. I sent a screenshot straight to my girlfriend. She was like, she was like, is she crazy right now? But it was also cool because, like, for those of you who don't know, I've been dating my girlfriend for like 2 years. And like, even from the jump, that was when we first started dating. Like, she was super trusting. And she like did not care at all. Cause most people were like, ew, your ex is hitting you up. Like, why is she hitting you up? But for me, it was like, I don't really care. Like, it is what it is. And she
I
didn't
feel
care
like
either.
it was very like kid stuff. You know what
I mean, I had just graduated high school. Like, I graduated high school in 2020. That's to make you feel old.
I know, we were talking, you guys. I thought we were around the same age. What'd you say, you were 22?
I'm 22.
You guys, yo 27 los acabo de cumplir ayer y ya me siento bien viejo. He's like, damn, 98. I'm like, las arrugas.
1900s, dude.
That's crazy. No, but
What
you know
year did you
what?
graduate high school?
I graduated 2016. 2016.
I
What were you
started
doing
high school in 2016.
I'm like, let's move on to the next topic before I start feeling super old.
That's
'Cause
crazy.
You know what's funny? I've been feeling really old lately.
Well, that's because you interview like young ass people. You like,
so then I'm like, what do you
Tess
mean?
is like what, 16?
Yeah. She's like, how's your childhood? She's like, I'm still living it. Literally.
Bro, I saw her at a party one time. I'm like, girl, what are you doing here? I'm like, where's your parents? She's like, over there. And her mom was literally right there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're like,
that's
good.
fair.
You're like,
yeah, I'm like,
love
good.
that.
Good for that. Yeah.
Cuéntanos un poquito más, obviamente you start doing social media and your life starts changing. How do you feel like your life changed after, popping off on social media?
It's so weird because I don't really think about it like that. Like, I've always thought someone asked me that because this is my first time being in LA for this long. And the culture here for people, like, it's very, I don't want to say clout chasey over here, but it can be negative sometimes. Because for me, I started making videos in Orlando and I still live in Orlando. I don't go anywhere except for the house and the gym. That's all, and I make videos. So everyone I see at the gym, I've known for a while, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And it was so weird because I went to a soccer game here. It was the Mexico game. And, my audience is mostly Latino. And I go there, and it was so weird because, like, everyone there, this is gonna sound braggy, but like everyone there like had seen my videos.
Yeah.
And it was so weird for me because we got put up in now it's not really braggy. We got put up in a box. We got put up in like some cool seats and we walked out and it was so weird because people like started coming up to me like crazy, like
a Selena Quintanilla moment.
Well, yeah.
You're like, she's here.
Yeah.
Literally.
Get it. No, it was just more for me. It was like weird. Like, wait, like who I am. It was cool. But then it was almost a little overwhelming for me at some point because I I said, I'm not used to it. And security had to step in and I'm like, all right, let's calm down. I dressed up in a Spider-Man costume. There's no reason I need security. But it was just cool for me because like through and through, I started making videos like even before TikTok. Yeah. I started on TikTok in 2021, 22. Oh shit. Okay. But before that, my dream was like, I want to be a YouTuber. I just want to be a YouTuber. And I made YouTube videos since like 2019, 2018. And I was like, I'm gonna just do that. So I was always making videos. But for me to get to this point where it's like, all I ever wanted to do, even before like I was making money of it, even before I was getting views, I was making videos just because I really liked making videos. And for me, that's still what it is. I enjoy doing it,
Do you feel like the pressure of it now being your job is like, it almost makes it like...
It's a little, yeah.
It's a little pressure because I do feel like I relate to that so much. When I first started doing the vlogs and like the daily posting, it was fun. Oh, this is your job now. Yeah. Do you ever feel like it's gotten to that point where maybe sometimes you're like, fuck, man, I don't want to film, but I got to because this is my job?
Especially last year. Like last year was kind of a lull for me. And like I've said multiple times, this is such a blessing, like what we do, because it's super easy sometimes, but also like for me, I'm very much a perfectionist. So like if I do something, especially with like if I have an idea, I'm like, oh, I want to do this, but let me wait until I can do it right. So there was times where I would wait like months just because I'm like, oh, I really want to do this one right. So I have to go to LA, I have to get all these people in it. But in reality, like, you don't have to overthink it sometimes. Yeah. The reason like people like your videos is because it's you. And that's something I'm kind of realizing now. But looking back, last year I didn't post as much because I was overthinking it way too much. I'm like, oh, I don't want to post. Yeah. But now I kind of got to a cool point where like I spam my second account. My second account is literally just me talking, yapping, because I'm like, oh, I can just be myself. People are actually, this is what I started doing. So let me just keep doing that. But yeah, it was a little pressure at some point, but it goes away,
Do you feel like social media has ever, messed you up emotionally? Because I do see a lot of, influencers, content creators where they get overwhelmed, where it starts affecting their mental state. Has that ever happened to you?
No, I mean, there's been very few times. For me, it's just more like I get more depressed when I'm not making videos because I have so much fun making videos. Yeah. And I know if I'm not making videos, like I consider myself to try and have like a good work ethic. So if I'm not making videos, I'm like, dude, you're so lazy. Like this is the easiest thing to do and you're not making videos. But for me, a lot of people wouldn't guess it. I have social anxiety like crazy, like really bad. So a lot of the times I hide behind characters just because like anytime I get nervous, I don't use my real voice because I'm like, oh, I'm comfortable behind this character that I've made because I know people think this is funny. I know like when I meet people, I can just do the voice and they'll think it's funny. And being myself is kind of weird and difficult for me just because I'm not used to being vulnerable like that. And I feel like people would judge me differently, you know what I mean? So a lot of the times, that's why I was kind of blessed with the format that I kind of started doing with the skits because I'm like, oh, I'll just hide behind a character. And people don't really judge you. They more like either like the skit or they like the character. They don't really like it. Yeah. It's a character. But I've seen so many people, especially like girl influencers, they get torn to parts. Yep. Because they're the most judged on the platform just being themselves. And I'm like, damn, that really sucks because it's like, I've been blessed where it's like I haven't being myself, but it's also like, damn, I want to be myself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, when I first started doing the skits, people would come up to me. That was weird. The first time someone came up to me and they're like, oh, can my son have a picture with you? I was like,
You're like, with me?
I'm like, girl, do you know who I am? I was like, what do you mean? How do you know who I am? There was this kid that came up to me one time and he was like, oh, Feffo, like, what's up? Can I like take a picture with you? I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And he goes, why do you talk like that? And I was like, this is my voice. And he goes, oh, okay. Like, he was almost disappointed that I wasn't like, hello, my Franks, today we're going. I'm like, that's not
It's a
my
character.
It's a character.
Yeah.
Hate to be the one to spoil it, but Santa Claus is also not real, guys. But yeah, no, it was just weird to like make that kind of know, like, hey guys, I'm not like this all the time. But it's kind of cool now there's sometimes people now where they come up to me and they're like, oh, Christian. I'm like, I don't like that, you know.
You're like, damn, you know me by
I'm
my
like, yeah,
name,
that's
my
weird, kind of weird
government
that you know
name.
who I am. Yeah.
That's crazy though. But I feel like it's also very, I'm sure to you as a content creator, I'm sure it's also now that you have your second account where you feel like you can be yourself a little bit more. I'm sure that's also kind of not really healing you, but also kind of like, oh, you know what? I don't have to hide too much behind a character. Like, the character stuff is fun and I love doing it and, you know, people love it, but I can also be myself and know that there's still people that will care about what I gotta say and who I really am. Platicamos un poquito de tu ex y luego platicamos de tu novia. Yo quiero saber cómo te va en el amor. Obviamente nos cuentas de que yo soy bien chismosa, amigas. Yo quiero saber todo. Nos comentas que ahorita estás en una relación que tienen ya como 2 años juntos.
Yeah.
Cuéntanos un poquito más cómo se conocieron, who made the first move, and how did the relationship first start off?
We probably have like the worst love story ever. Dude.
Cuéntala.
Not in a bad way, like for me and my side, just because she caught me at a point where like I had just started to learn how to flirt or whatever, but she rejected me a good couple times before let me take it back. She posted on her story, my girlfriend's Luciana, for those of you guys that don't know. I've been dating a spicy Colombian for like 2 years. She posted on her story, she had just gotten out of a relationship for like 3 months. She posted a picture and I was like, oh, this is so cringy looking back. She posted a picture of her dyeing her hair red. I was like, are you going through a breakup?
Because they dye their hair when they're
they
going
dye
through
their
a
hair. I'm like, come on, you dyed your hair red. I'm like, and she was like, how'd you know? I'm like, girl, let's be for real. Looking back, that's so bold to make such a crazy statement like that. But she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I just got over a breakup too, blah, blah, blah. We were talking about that for a little bit. So I slid in the DMs in the worst way possible. Never do that. I was really close with her friend. We were I was talking to a friend. I was like, hey, she's really cute. Think she's cool. Like, do you think she'd be into me like that? She was like, I don't know. She just got out of a relationship. And she also, my girlfriend, hates getting flirted with. Like, even back then, like before she even knew me, she hated getting flirted with. Because it's just awkward, you know, sometimes, especially for girls that like have social anxiety or not extroverts like that. And then I remember one time she was hanging out with her best friend and she was like, oh, let's all hang out together so like you guys can meet each other. Because we knew of each other in high school, but we weren't close. And the first time we hung out, I was just friendly. I wasn't flirting. And immediately we clicked. Like, we liked the same music. Like, we both kind of had the same sense of humor. And then after that, I remember we hung out like once or twice after. And that's when I started trying to turn the charm up. And I was like trying to flirt with her. Did not go over well. I remember one time I told her I was flirting with her and she's like, can you stop? You're making me uncomfortable. And I was like, right?
What
right?
were you saying?
I wasn't saying anything like, ugh, like creepy. It was just like I was joking around with her and like doing like you know when you're girls say like, oh, if you're funny, then like you get like 10 points of charisma or whatever. Like I was
20 today.
Yeah, I was like trying to be I was being funny and I was like, we were at the gym working out together and she would go like, she's like, oh, do you mind grabbing that? And I would be like,
yeah. She's like, stop that.
She was like, stop. Because she thought I was being serious. I'm like, it's a joke. But it got really bad because she gave me a chance and she was like, hey, like I really kind of want to get to know you more. Like, do you want to go on a date? I was like, yeah, the fuck? I was like I remember I sent her a picture of me because I'm like, oh, again, if I'm funny, then she'll like me. I literally set up the camera on Snapchat and I set the timer and I had a video of me Mario jumping in the air like, hell yeah. It was so embarrassing looking back. But we go on this date, right? Mind you, I like going to the gym, right? I had just hit legs that day. And what's it called? She was like, oh, my feet are hurting. And I was like, oh, no, I got you. I was trying to be all cool. So I picked her up and I'm like, oh, she doesn't weigh anything. I'm like, she's super light. And I'm like, let me just run with her. So I start running, right? My legs were so sore. I drop her on the cement.
She's like, it's done.
Bro, I dropped her on the cement. And it wasn't just like, oh, he dropped me. Like, she was bleeding from her elbow. And mind you, we just got out of the car. We didn't even go, we did not even go, oh gosh. We didn't even get out of the car yet. Like, we just got out of the car. And I was like, as soon as I dropped her, I'm like, the date's over. Let's just get back in the car. Let's get her some Band-Aids. And she gets up and this is how I knew she was the one, because she gets up and she's like,
that was fun.
yeah, no, she gets up and she's like, let me go to the bathroom. I'm going to wash off. Do you want to drop me again before I do that? And I was like, okay, she's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But the whole day I felt so bad, dude. I felt so terrible because I'm like, I was trying to be all cool, like pick her up. How the hell do you drop somebody on a first date?
Yeah,
and they
how do
still...
you?
Okay, well, let's
I'm
not
like,
be
how do
judgmental,
you? I'm
all
like-
right?
I'm like, it was already hard to get in and you were still risking it.
I get the one date and I fumble it somehow.
Yeah.
But no, after that, it was like she, had just gotten out of a relationship. And surprisingly, like, there was no baggage from that. But for me, like, I don't know if you've ever gotten cheated on. It hurts. It hurts just because, like, you start second guessing everything. And especially since, like, this was my first relationship. After that, I definitely did carry over a little bit of baggage.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, are you doing the same thing? Like, are you lying? Blah, blah, blah. And there were some times that, like, I kind of carried that baggage over. And then she would just be so reaffirming. And it kind of just showed me that, like, the right person can change your perspective on everything, because there were so many like wounds that I had open, whether it be with like, my relationship with my dad was pretty bad and like at the time. And then, I was still kind of like having trust issues with my ex and stuff. And she was just so reaffirming of that. And it just shows like never put responsibility on someone else to heal you. But when you're really in a relationship that is healing, you can see a different side of you.
What do you think was the moment for you? Nos cuentas that you were a little tóxico, like, ¿qué estás haciendo? Like, anything that looked kind of off, you would question it. What was the moment for you that you were like, you know what? Maybe she ain't doing shit. Maybe she really likes me.
You're gonna get me canceled, dude.
What's the moment?
No, it was bad. It was bad. It was just like, it was definitely a moment of like, this was back when I was still, recovering a little bit. And someone had told me that like, it was just really a miscommunication. Someone told me, they were like, hey, like, didn't your girl used to date someone? It was someone else that used to go to the gym.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, didn't they break up like on this month? And that was when we started talking. And I'm like, so were you with him and with me at the same time?
And that happened to you prior.
Yeah. And I was like, but I would have been on the other side of it. I would have been what my friend was. So I started freaking out, and I drive to her house. I'm going 100 miles an hour. Like, I'm like, did you do this? Like, what's going on? Blah, blah. I was freaking out. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, did you do this? She starts showing me like receipts. She goes, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. And I just realized that like the guy messed up the months. And I was like, man, I'm really like not. I was like, I just, honestly, I think for me, it was just like everything kind of just started rushing back. And I'm like, no way this is happening twice.
Yeah.
And I was just freaking out a little bit. And looking back, like the best advice I can give to anybody is never, ever let past relationships dictate anything in your future, because like you're never going to find the person that you're meant to be with if you're still holding on the person from, or like baggage from the past, And
I feel like that is very important, because sometimes, like you said, we bring our baggage and we like almost dump it on the next person. And it's like, no, babes, like, if she's healed, like you're not going to come over here.
You're not going to hear and fuck her vibe.
Yeah, you're going to fuck up her vibe, which is good that you guys were able to get through that. Cuéntanos un poquito más about your approach when it comes to social media, when it comes to your relationship. Obviamente, it's not like it's a secret, you will, talk about it here and there, but like your content isn't really like couples based, right? Cuéntanos, what made you be like, you know what, maybe I don't want to, just show off like my whole relationship online, or what, was there a convo about that? Cuéntanos un poquito más what your approach was when it came to like your relationship being online.
I think for me, it's just like, I post my girlfriend. I just don't post her a lot, because for me, it's like there's a whole story highlight on my Instagram. I post her on my TikTok as like, anytime we have a cute moment where like for Halloween, we're doing costumes or something like that, I post it because I'm like, okay, this is something that I would just want to post. I think it's cool. But also, when we first started dating, I was like, oh, let me just kind of do more of the couples thing. And I was posting her a lot. And then she was just getting a little bit of hate. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do that at all. So I was like, okay, let me post it when like I feel comfortable sharing. But I also don't want it to make my whole account a couple's account, because for me, it's like, that's not something she signed up for. And also she's not a private person, but she's also not the most public person. She likes to have her business. So obviously I'm going to respect that, because like, like a lot of people from this might just be finding out how to have a girlfriend, but like I posted a TikTok not too long ago where I was like, oh yeah, no, my girlfriend. They were like
you have a girlfriend?
Yeah, they were like, since when do you have a girlfriend? I'm like, I've said it so many times. It's just also my girlfriend and I are so different in the sense that like I'm the loud one and the one that always like, let me put on this costume and let me, like the first LA party I went to was Bless's birthday party, right? And she brought this up the other day. Like I was going around and I'm like a dog that like just got put in a room with like treats or whatever. I'm going around the room, hey, saying hi to everybody. And she was like, in the corner, like just did not want to talk to anyone. And then I look back, I'm like, okay, I had to stay with her. I forget that we're very different people, you know? But yeah, it's just like, her and I are so different, but also we complement each other like really well because sometimes when I'm filming videos, she's like, I'm like freaking out because I gotta buy costumes. I have to get the script ready because I write scripts for a lot of my videos. I have to get these people involved. I have to get a set. And she's like, okay, let me take care of 3 of these things for you. Let me help you out. And, you know, she kind of helps me breathe a little bit.
So she's like supportive about what you do, which is great.
Yeah,
though,
1000%.
Because especially when you're dating someone that isn't doing what you're doing, sometimes it can get a little conflicting with I don't want you getting all this attention or whatever it was. You know, nos cuentas at the beginning, she was getting a lot of hate. How did you guys deal with it? Do you feel like at one moment it was almost like that hate was transcending into your guys' relationship to where you guys were having combos like, oh my God, babe, I'm sorry, people don't know shit, like don't take it personal? Was that like a problem?
I honestly didn't even know she was getting hate. That's the thing. So I was posting videos and she would tell me. She was just so good at like, I don't know how she like just didn't really care. Like the first time I got a hate comment, I remember I freaked out. But she was getting hate. Apparently she was telling me, not even hate sometimes. It was just like I would make a video with a girl and people were like, oh my gosh, I ship him and her together. And she would like, you know, it would bother her a little bit, but she would never say anything to me. And I remember she would tell me, she was like, yeah, I got a little bit of hate or like, you're getting a lot of this. And I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me? I would have deleted the comment. She goes, I don't really care. Yeah. I'm like, girl, you are better than me because I would have freaked out. Like she's
chill about it.
She's chill. She's super confident in our relationship. And she's everything that I'm not in a great way because like, she just completes me in a way like, oh, that sounds so corny.
No, it's good. No, I love it.
No. She just compliments me. She like completes me in a way because like there's so many times where if I was in her shoes, I would just like not be comfortable or I wouldn't be okay with like, you know, me leaving in a month at a time and making videos with girls that I don't really like or in her situation, guys that I don't really know. But that's just also like, you know, sometimes I could be insecure sometimes. But I try and recognize that because also like she's been so cool about it. She's just very secure.
And I feel like that's great, you know, that you guys have that relationship. Obviamente, we're seeing so many couples online. Do you feel like these couples that portray their relationship so perfect online is also putting out very unrealistic expectations when it comes to relationship? Porque miramos mucho, you know, a lot of couple channels, you know, se miran bien perfectos, que se aman, y luego a los meses, días, you're like, wait, no, tienen igual problemas que uno. Was that something that you kind of saw and you're like, I don't want that for my relationship, like to portray something it's not?
The videos that we used to make back then, it was just like, we wouldn't really even talk in them and people would still find something to say because I feel like there's a certain parasocial relationship that people have with couples accounts where they're just like, oh, I know how they are. And honestly, I'm not okay with it. Or I'm not okay. Like there was one video I posted and it was us just like goofing around. I had made her this blanket for Christmas. It was half Spider-Man and half Hello Kitty. She likes Hello Kitty and I'm a perfect boyfriend. So I made her one. I'm just kidding. So I made her the blanket and we made a video. We're like, oh, look. And that video went viral too. I don't know if you can put it in, but literally
send it over to me.
Literally put it right here. It's the most annoying thing. We held up the blanket. We did like 4 takes. And I was like, okay, we'll kiss. Like at the end of it, like, oh, we're holding a blanket, we kiss. And she gets nervous on camera. So she was on one of the takes, she was like, okay, let's just not kiss because I get nervous. Let's just hug each other. So on the last take, I'm like, okay, cool. Boom, I hug her. And the video looks good to me, so I post it. Apparently on that one, she went in for a kiss. And I go like this. Everyone in the comment, oh, don't do that. That goes exactly what the comments.
I see where the comments are going.
I just think it's so funny how Cristian curved your kiss. One guy stitched the video, and he was like doing this joking video where he was like a professional hater on relationships. And he goes, did you see how he dodged your kiss? Break up right now, he's cheating. And that video got 1 million likes. That
More
video
than like the one that you did? Or right about the same?
I don't remember, honestly.
Because sometimes the hate videos
No.
sometimes do more.
I think it got like the same.
Yeah.
I didn't know how viral that video went because apparently when I met Karen and Eddie, they were like, "Do you know that like one of our first viral videos was us stitching your video?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" It was the blanket video because they went and made blankets. And I was like, "That's so crazy." And she was like, "Why'd you dodge your kiss though?" I'm like, "I didn't dodge her kiss. I just didn't know that she was going in for the kiss." But like, going back to your question, people are gonna formulate like their opinions no matter what. Like literally, that was the most innocent video. I didn't even realize it. But now my girlfriend likes to twist the knife because she didn't realize it either until now. She's like, "Well, why did you dodge my kiss in that video?" I'm like, "You're so annoying." But yeah, I mean, people just like making their own opinions.
Ya para terminar este topic about relationships, what do you think has been the top 3 things that are important for you and for your partner to have a very healthy relationship, or at least to build up to a healthy relationship?
It's hard when you're first starting a relationship, just for me, because I had so much trust issues in the beginning. Trust is a huge part, because if you're not trusting your partner, they're going to be the person at the end of the day. At least for me, like I've always told my girlfriend through and through, like at a certain point when I realized like that this was the girl that I want to be with, I was like, just so you know, like when it gets thick and when it gets thin, I trust you. Like you're the person I plan on growing old with. Like you're the person that I plan on, like when I get old, I want to grow old with you. So even through your arguments and stuff, like trust and communication for me was like, because we definitely had communication issues in the beginning. And every now and then we still have communication issues just because like, oh, how are they gonna react when I say this? Or how are they gonna react when I say that? So let me just hold it in, but then it bottles up and then it turns into a huge argument. Just like, that. And then also like at the end of the day, you're supposed to be each other's best friends.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then I wanna pack it up and find, because like at the end of the day, if you can't laugh with the person, then
Like, ¿pa' qué estás ahí?
yeah. Come on, we got 80 years of living. You
It gotta be fun.
gotta be fun
be
somehow.
bored.
Yeah.
No,
like have
for
fun
real.
with your relationship and
Everyone fucking says communication, but it really is very important because tienes una persona that was raised differently, has different morals, has different views, y luego viene uno igual, raised differently, different morals, different views, and then you're telling me you have to go ahead and like meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Obviamente siempre va a haber, things you disagree, but I think to be able to have that like very healthy and a good relationship, you have to know where to meet in the middle. Obviamente hay muchas cosas que a lo mejor como tu pareja, you can be like, no, you can fix that because that isn't okay. But then there's some things that you have to compromise and be like, you know what, that is who they are. And así yo me enamoré, así yo quiero esta persona y no puedo hacerlos que cambien totalmente. Yo quiero platicar ya del último tema, amigas. Yo sé que a ustedes les ha estado gustando mucho esta entrevista porque lo han podido conocer muchísimo, pero yo quiero hablar de ti y de tu música. Nos estabas contando earlier that, when you were very young, you got into piano, you started like doing some instruments, pero recientemente sacas tu canción Kitty Cat. Cuéntanos de eso. How did that come to be? Did it start off as a joke? Were you super serious about it? Y cómo fue like the behind the scenes of filming, writing it, and just getting it together?
It's so stupid because it's so funny because it's like, it feels so professional. It feels like we're getting to it. And then the dumbass Kitty Cat song. No, what's it called? I was filming a tennis skit with my friend Paul, right? The guy that I met in the weird scenario, but we became like really, really close friends. And then at a certain point, we were filming this tennis skit, and a cat literally just walked past the tennis court, and I was like, "Kitty cat, kitty, kitty, kitty cat," and he was like dying of laughter. I'm like, "Dude, it's not that funny. That was the stupidest shit I've ever done." And he was laughing. He's like, "Bro, just film it, dog. Film it. Trust me. This is fire." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna post that." He's like, "Trust me, bro." I film it. I'm like, "This is so stupid, but I need to post for today," so I put it on my second account. Got like 1 million likes. I'm like, what? Or what is TikTok? And the skit did like not great. But their kitty cat thing did really good. So I'm like, why? So I like, okay, let me do it again. And then every time I was with people or I was doing a big collab, I'm like, okay, let me just get everybody in a line. Let's just say kitty cat. And then it took off to a point where I'm like, okay, you know what? I think the big one was when I did it with Adam Ray.
Yes, I saw that one.
And I'm like, you know what? This is gonna be. I even told Adam, I'm like, okay, Adam, I think I have to make a song out of this or something, because my friend Chance, he knows that I actually before that I had written some serious music because I've always loved music. Like I mentioned before, like I love playing piano. Like I had written some other songs, and I was like, well, I don't want my first song to be like a dumb song, like a dumb joking song. And he was like, bro, it's a really great way to get your name in the door, and then you can expound off that. And I was like, fine. I tried it. I tried doing it the first time. I wrote this whole like dembow song. Tried doing it the first time in my normal voice. Sounded so bad. Because for those of you that don't do music, there's this thing called recording nerves or booth nerves or whatever. And when you're in there, you're not used to hearing your voice. So you're like,
who the hell is that?
Yeah. It's like if you couldn't hear and then for the first time you could hear and you just hear your voice. It sounds weird. He's like, do it in your Feffo voice. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it in my I do it in my Feffo voice. Sounded so much better because again, there was that confidence thing for me of like hiding behind a character. And I did. I'm like, okay, you know what? We'll see what it does. I put it out and it starts doing crazy. Like for me, at least, like I know those people that are established in the music industry. For me, it was like, wow, this is so cool. Like it's expounding on like something I've already wanted to do. And it started like gaining traction. And then now I'm at this point where I'm like, maybe I should do another one.
Yeah.
So recently, like a month ago, I'm like, let me just do another joking song just for fun. So my friend was like, well, what are you going to call it? Because you can't do the kitty cat thing on me. I'm like, this one's called like Doggy Dog or Bad Dog or something like that. I don't know what it's called yet, but I literally...
It's not out yet.
I have it. But it's not out yet. By the time this podcast comes out, it might already be on TikTok, like a little teaser. It's more like a 80s rap kind of vibe. But it's for me, it's so funny because the songs are so dumb. But every time I show somebody, they're like, it sounds like you know how to make music, but it's funny and stupid. And it's like they're still like, wait a minute. It's
like,
stuck in my head. It's stuck in my
yeah.
head. And that's why like every time I show somebody like, wait, why is this actually kind of good? But I kind of want to keep that going. So like by the time this podcast is out, the song might already be out or out on TikTok or whatever. So I think it's gonna be called Bad Dog. I'm not sure.
Bad Dog. It comes out. This episode comes out this Friday.
Then it's.
It is. Then it's good.
It might be on TikTok.
It might be on TikTok. Si no, you guys, ahí pónganse a buscar y nos cuentas un poquito that you want to continue making music. So you're starting to take it a little bit more serious. Nos cuentas de que a lot of this song and the song prior are very like funny songs. Do you plan on making any songs that are a little bit more serious in the sense of like, you know, love songs or, you know, something to where people can be like, you know what, like whatever he's saying in the song is what I'm going through.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a little weird for me just because like I wrote this whole project back in like 2020. But obviously like, you know, when I wrote it, it was kind of like I was just going through it. So, but I did write a whole project and I really like, I kind of want to put that out there, but I want to make the transition where it's like, I don't want to go from talking about, oh, kitty cat, kitty, to like a super serious song because for me, since it's something like that I kind of hold, that I've been kind of holding it for a while, I'm a little scared to release it just because I'm like, you know, I'm used to hiding behind that character and I'm afraid on how people are going to react to it. But I definitely see myself in the future releasing like actual music that I like more like slower kind of songs, like on the piano and stuff like that, more like Joji kind of vibes. And I definitely want to release that in the future, but for now, I'm going to be rapping about cats and dogs.
Por ahorita, amigas.
Just for now.
Estén pendiente, porque yo sé que, you know, I feel like you know, just from hearing you and seeing just how you work when it comes to your content, your work, and your craft, I feel like, you know, the sky's the fucking limit when you really have that drive and you really have like that.
Igualmente, look at this set, dude. What are we talking about? This is like the Tonight Show.
We used to film this shit at my house. And you know what's so funny? Like, I just went on a podcast not too long ago. If you guys no lo han visto, vayan a verlo con Elsie. It dropped like 2 days ago from this episode. But I was talking on the podcast that like my show really isn't anything bigger than a YouTube video. But the way I've worked my ass off, have, you know, put in, you know, budget into it, have really, the way I present it, when you watch it at home, you really do feel like you're watching some shit from television. Yeah, like Jimmy it looks so legit. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the time it's like, tú te la tienes que creer. I'm a big on like, when people tell me like, oh my God, I love your show. Like my dream's to be on your show. I always think like, what do you mean? Like your dream is to like.
That's the same way.
You know what it means?
It's
like,
so weird.
I feel like, what is it called? It's called like a whole thing where people, cuando no te la crees who you are.
Parasocial. It's a parasocial relationship.
Like where you're like, girl, I'm just doing what I know what to do. You know what I mean?
Someone said that to me the other day. They were like, it was after the soccer game. I was like, that was so weird. And they were like, you know, the people like actually know who you are and watch your videos. And I was like, I'm getting the same vibe from you. It's like, just for me, it's like, I just did it because I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I just did it. And for me, I still do it. And it's like, sometimes you don't get that real world gratification because like people that like, especially do what you're doing, like with Jimmy Fallon or whatever, there's a live studio audience. He knows people are watching his stuff. For you, you see a number, you're like, okay, that number's cool. That's a big number. But people don't actually watch my video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes it's hard as a creator to put like a face to like the number. You know what I mean? Like I'm super grateful and I love the fact that you guys have fallen in love with this project as much as I have. Pero a veces como que, I think to me, because we live in this life. Like, to me, it's like, that's all I know. Like, I've been doing Noche de Pendejadas for 6 years. You know, one of my biggest goals is to really tell people stories, to really have people open up so that people at home could kind of resonate and kind of be inspired. So to me, yo estoy haciendo lo que yo sé hacer y lo hago como que cualquier otra cosa. You know, to me, it's like, it is a big deal that I have to come here and interview, but like, to me, it's like, it's so normal. You know what I mean? Like, it almost feels like, pues.
But I also feel like, to a certain extent, I feel like the reason people resonate with it so much is because, like, you can tell you take it seriously, and that resonates with the audience. Like, I've been on a couple podcasts. He was like, let's do a preliminary call. Let's get the questions right. I'm like, you know what? Immediately, I was like, this is professional. I like this. This is like, I feel like I'm going on the Tonight Show.
When you do something with love, drive, going back to you and to me, when you do something that you really are passionate about, the sky's the fucking limit.
Right.
Tú invéntate tu mundo, amigas, aunque haya gente que no crea en ti, aunque haya gente que a lo mejor no crean en tu visión o que digan, oh, que cringe, o este güey se cree más de lo que es. Tú créetelo, amigas, porque esas personas que te critican y esas personas que hablan mal de ti son gente que ni creen en ellos mismos. And it really is that. You know, so I'm excited to see where this music thing takes you.
I'm just going to say, if you're considering, like, doing social media or whatever, you're going to make the cringiest shit ever at first. Everybody makes the cringe. I thought I was a thirst trapper when I first started. There was a laugh back there. What, you don't think I could do thirst trap?
Herman's laughing in the back. He's like, not with the kitty cat. Yeah. Kitty cat. Literally.
No, it's funny now because, like, obviously, like, you know, I'm not a thirst trapper. Like, I feel more comfortable doing comedy. Every now and then, I might be feeling myself. I might be thinking I'm sexy, and I might post a video. You know, I'm like, doing that same thing I did to my girlfriend. But no, like, you're going to make videos where you look back and you're like, oh, why did I do that? For me now, even when I look back at the first kitty cat videos, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But also, like, I thank God that I actually, like, had the confidence to do that because, you know, it got me where I am now. It can lead to something beautiful that you don't even know that you can do. I say it like it's hard. Like, it wasn't hard for me to say kitty cat on the internet.
But yeah, sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there.
Especially since I get a little socially anxious sometimes. It's not exactly the most comfortable thing sometimes. But, like, also just go for it. Like, who cares? Who cares?
I always say that, you guys, tú eres la única persona que te está parando from being where you want to be. El momento que ya no te importe lo que la gente piense, lo que la gente diga, va a ser el momento donde tú en verdad vas a hacer las cosas por ti mismo y, como les digo, vas a llegar muy lejos. So, ya para terminar esta entrevista, hablando de a dónde vamos a llegar, ¿en dónde te miras tú en los próximos 5 años?
I really love what I do as far as social media, and I really want to. It's just so cool because I feel like I'm talking with everybody that I make a video with. You know what I mean? Especially when, like, I do these normal videos where I'm talking to myself. That sounded crazy. These normal videos where I'm just being myself. It's kind of cool because it's a way of feeling seen in a little bit, which sounds corny, but it is. So I really like that. I really want to start doing YouTube more because I feel like, you know, I can connect with my audience more. And then music is something that I've always wanted to do. And I feel like now, every time I show someone, like, music, they're like, wait a minute, this is kind of good. So it kind of gives me the spark to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then a year from now, I'm going to start doing serious music. And then a year from now, that's going to lead to cool opportunities. And it's kind of cool to see, like, that theater kid, that music nerd, that kid that just did video, like, all of those things that I started doing, it's going to lead to something cool in the next 5 years that, like, I don't even know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But I definitely see myself, as long as I keep putting the work in, like I say, work, but it's fun. Of, like, the music and stuff. I really, really want to capitalize on that.
Y yo sé que vas a llegar muy lejos, and I'm so excited de poder ver, you know, where your career takes off from here. Just from even talking to you today, I'm like, wow, like, uno nunca hubiera sabido, amigas, todo eso. And that's why I feel like I love what I do, because I see people online, you know, I see you and I'm like, oh, okay, like, he's just
Who knew the
funny.
kitty cat dude was that deep?
Yeah, like,
Damn.
I did not know. You know what I mean? And I love
Yeah.
that because not just me, but people at home are like, wait, yo no sabía nada de eso. And I just want to say once again, thank you so much for taking the time, you know, on your trip to be here with us today.
Dude, this was #1 on the bucket list. I was like, first of all, I don't know if you guys see it. I don't think you really see it on, like, line. The set design is so crazy. I'm so excited to be here. I'm gonna set up a air mattress and sleep.
No, you guys, I will say that. Eso sí me voy a dar crédito. I feel like you guys only see the curtain and this.
Yeah.
There's like this. I'm trying to add a third camera, but we're just trying to make it seem. I'm trying to figure out how I can do it without, like, this table that's here. You guys don't see it,
for
but
those
there's
of
a
you who
table.
don't see, I am so far from him right now. I'm like, I cannot reach him at all.
No, we are literally far, you
Yeah.
guys, but ahorita nos miran neck to neck, but there's like a whole, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. It just looks so much different. Like, I feel like maybe a lot of people, when they come on the podcast, they go in thinking like, oh, un cuartito no, pero llegas and you're like, no, es todo un set, amigas, y como les digo, it had to come from a place of like, yeah, it had to be like, yo me lo tuve que creer. Si la gente me lo decía, pues yo me lo creo, and I'm gonna go full force. So with that being said, amigas, espero muchísimo que les haya gustado mucho el episodio del día de hoy. No se les olvide de ir a seguir a Cristian on all his social medias, which I'll leave down below, as well as on the screen. Y no se les olvide seguirme también a mí, so you guys won't miss any future episodes. And with that being said, thank you once again. Thank you guys. Yes, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yay, it is so good.